Okay, hello again. I think this is working this time. Anyway, it's me. I've been away for a while. I was going to make this just a YouTube video, but I might make it a podcast episode. Let's make it a podcast episode. Welcome to the Redefining Spirituality Podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Mark Van Wichen. And in this podcast, we talk about all things spiritual, psychic, not even that. We talk about creativity, life, the difficulties that we'll go through, and how to essentially develop as people into the greatest version of ourselves. Now, I've been up to a lot recently, been working very hard, had a lot of shifts in life, and yeah, I had to kind of put this on the back burner for a little bit while I got some of my stuff sorted. But one of the main things that has happened in my life recently is that I attended the Sean Collins, mediumship retreat in Bali, which was hosted at the Mansion, which is in Ubud, or near Ubud. And it was one of the most incredible experiences ever. I went into it with zero expectations, but also expecting a lot. And I got more than I was hoping for in the strangest kind of ways. And I'll do a full episode on that, just because there are people that I met. Let's start using my hands. All right. There are people that I met while I was over there who I really want to have on the podcast and lining up all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to hold all of that stuff until I can shoot that with them so we can kind of discuss all the different things that happened, because while we're there were 4 different teachers and we all got split up. We all learned different things. We all had really amazing experiences of our own. It'll be good just to kind of recap and talk about everything that happened while we're there. But in this place, it was very interesting. It was very magnificent. One of the most unique characteristics of this experience is that you're surrounded by over 100 different psychic mediums or spiritual people looking to get into this field. And just by the nature of that, you know that you're going to have the most incredible experiences, just meeting people, knowing that there's an entire group of people who understand how to manipulate their energy, or at least project it to make certain things happen, because there were some things that happened which I genuinely still struggle to believe that they did happen, even though I was one of the main people contributing to the situation that occurred. But it was, when you start experiencing like God tier level psychedelic trip shit, but in real life, it really starts to break down those walls of what is possible and the limitations in your life. But yeah, I met so many incredible people, so many extremely talented people who are going to go so far in their lives, and to also spend, an entire week with 4 of the world's best mediums, Lynn Probert, Tony Stockwell, Sean Collins, and Diane Thomas. It was just the most rewarding thing that could have possibly happened, really. And as well, just being amongst the Balinese. It was my first time going to Bali at 31 years old, and as an Australian, it's probably the least Australian thing that I could have done is waited this long. But it was a real good eye opener, from just what you hear from people who go there. I was expecting to head out there and be thrown into, like this third world country shithole where, everything is just run down and poverty stricken. But it was almost the complete opposite of that. I was completely blown away. Like even the traffic driving, you know what I mean? Like, they're driving with almost no road rules. There's no traffic lights. They just go and let each other in and stop. But, they're terrified of the driving in the West because we're driving at 100 kilometers an hour, trying to merge, all this crazy shit happens. And if you have a car accident, it's a pretty fatal one, typically. Whereas over there, they only drive at 20, 30, 40 Ks an hour. Everyone lets everyone in. It's actually a lot safer, in my opinion. And I enjoyed it. It made sense. I really loved just their connection to nature. Visited a a water temple at one point. There was a water priest. He came out. He was a fucking legend. Took his shirt off. He had like all these tattoos and stuff on him, and he was cool. There's one saying, and I'm going to botch this because I just definitely will, but it's Om Swastiastu, I believe that's what it is. I can't exactly remember what all of this stuff means, but it was really cool just learning their culture and like properly being a part of it, being introduced to their culture, having Balinese ceremonies, learning the way they do their offerings as well. You know, they pray to it might have been the Om Swastiastu. It may have been that, but you know, they do prayers every morning, every day, to three parts. They pray to God, Source, Spirit, all that is, whatever you may refer to it as. They pray to nature and they pray to the self. And I thought that was such a beautiful thing because that is something that I hold very, very dearly. I always talk about nature. I always talk about the godhood of nature. You know, all that is spirit, whatever you want to refer to it as, and the importance of us as people, that we are gods who have incarnated into human form to experience physical reality and muck around and play with this and have the best time ever. Which you can, which I am. I feel like I'm having a blast, and I hope that I can somehow convince you or trick you into having a good time as well, because that's what we're here to do, and it is possible. And I promise it's possible because I'm living that reality, and I haven't had some crazy, amazing background growing up and being given all this stuff. Like, I've worked for everything that I have. I work extremely hard and I have an extremely good time doing it. So there are a few things that I kind of want to touch on this podcast. And one of the main things, so I was very excited because being let's call it a spiritual enthusiast myself, someone who loves to explore spirituality, someone who loves to question reality, question everything that we've been told, and explore these things and these concepts for themselves. I was very excited to be around over 100 other people who are on a relatively similar wavelength, who you can have deep conversations with, like right off the bat. It's very rare that we ever had like a conversation where the other person couldn't keep up or they weren't on board with the topics being brought up, namely manifestation, health, intuition. We're talking about psychic related stuff, connecting with spirit, connecting with the dead, you know, just, what do you call it? Just psychic phenomena in general, mediumship. But so through all these conversations, one of the main things which this is one of the things that I've discovered, which I was quite surprised about, but it actually makes sense. And so for my journey, I got into spirituality quite young. I was very lucky. I got given a copy of Jane Roberts's Seth Speaks: The Eternal Validity of the Soul when I was about 19 or 20 years old. And for those who don't know that book, in my opinion, it is probably the most powerful piece of written information on the planet, in my humble opinion. Also on board with The Nature of Personal Reality by Jane Roberts as well. They are like, those two books will teach you how to get the most out of life in every single way. I'm talking abundance, health, psychic intuition, development, anything you want, you can get out of those books. They are, in my opinion, like the Bible of the universe, and I could not recommend them more. So coming across this stuff at the age of 20, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I have been studying those books. I've got most of the collection now. I read them often. If I'm not reading them, I'm listening to audiobooks, and I'm studying and I'm writing about it. But anyway, for me, I got into, sorry, I just breathed into the microphone. But anyway, I got into spirituality, and over the course of time, I was never psychic. I never had any psychic abilities. I didn't even know how to astrally project. I didn't even know what a bad feeling was, so to speak. But through these books, through meditation, you know, through other medicinal tools, I learnt these things and I began to develop, and psychic intuition actually came into my life significantly further down the track. And so for me, in my opinion, I was like, okay, like you become spiritual and eventually you become psychic and develop these abilities. But for a lot of people, it's not necessarily that. There is a majority of people who have always had that gift. Again, calling it a gift is probably not the right term. They have naturally attuned that muscle because we all have the ability to develop it. But again, so I always thought that. So I always kind of expected that, these people who are doing psychic work were like very, very, very spiritual and had that level of like spiritual education that they had done, which wasn't necessarily the case, which isn't a bad thing. Like they're all spiritual people, but I always kind of assumed that if you were a psychic, you had your shit sorted, which isn't the truth, it turns out. But the thing I want to kind of get into is there were kind of like the thing about psychics and mediums and, these clairvoyants and stuff is that they are so much more human than you could ever think. Like they are, if not more human than normal people, because they're more tapped in and they're more aware of their human nature and their self. And you would absolutely crack up at some of the like Seinfeld level shit that you see psychics doing in their normal lives, like living completely normal lives with normal families, and they're just like this one offshoot of spastic that we somehow have developed into. But one of the things that, again, back to the point, let's get back to the point, Brennan. People really struggle with their relationships with people. It's crazy. And I had this conversation on multiple accounts, and I feel like it's really important that I kind of bring this up, is that people really struggle with like narcissism and people who take them for granted. And no matter how developed these people are, it's like we all have this inherent need in our nature to be accepted by the people around us. And so I want to kind of get into a kind of discussion about the way that the law of attraction works in relation to our vibrational frequency. So we all have our own harmonic vibrational frequency. You can call it your aura, but there is a rhythm and a vibrational flow that is in all of our bodies. And you can feel this shift very, very easily when you are in trouble or you're feeling depressed, or when you're around people who are like really struggling with like their mental health. They're always like very pessimistic, always looking for problems, always just seeking the bad in the world. You can feel that their harmonic frequency or their aura or their vibration is just scattered. It's all over the place. It's not good. But when you come across someone who is really healthy, centered, they meditate, they take care of themselves, they're creative, and they do the work that they love, there is an energy to them that is just captivating to be around. It's very healthy. It's very warming because they've worked on that inner harmony, that inner frequency of theirs, which is a very pleasing thing to be around. They have a nice harmonic frequency. And we all have our frequency that we're trying to develop, and you can change it and you can shift it, but we all have that frequency. And one of the difficult things that people don't understand is that because we all have our own frequency, we all affect one another in that way. So something that's really important, and I talk about this all the time, is setting up a routine where you can meditate in the morning. As I said, my morning routine is I get up at 4:30. You don't have to get up that early. It's all good. But I get up at 4:30. First thing I do is turn my alarm off, don't look at my phone whatsoever, drink some water, and I take my dogs down to a park nearby. And in that park, let them run around. They can do whatever they want. But I then meditate for about 20 to 30 minutes at this swing seat thing that I like. And during that, there are a few different things that I do, which I would highly recommend you starting to do. Because our brain is a machine, you have to treat it like if you want to be an optimal person, if you want to have optimal intuition and optimal abilities, you have to treat your brain like it is the most important thing in your life. And that means letting it operate within its circadian rhythm correctly. This means allowing yourself to settle down before going to sleep. That is one of the most important things you can do. Get off your phone like half an hour before bed, do some yoga, do some meditation, do some journaling, do something to wind down so that when you do enter the dream state, it's a smooth entrance. You'll be able to remember your dreams more accurately, even if you set like intentions for your dreams and the things that you want to learn. Very important. And again, you're meant to kind of come into the dream and you're meant to come out of it very smoothly. So when you wake up fucking 10 minutes before you have to go to work, you throw on your clothes and you down a coffee or a Red Bull or something like that, that is extremely damaging to your brain. That is like starting your car and just fucking sending it like straight away. You might be able to get away with it. And of course, we all have like organic tissue and organic material in our body that reproduces, but you're conditioning your body into a really bad setup and you're going to rot your brain when you're older. It's just going to damage you beyond belief. So again, learn to wake up earlier, go for a walk, get out of the house, but like do some meditation and reflect on your dreams, because first of all, your dreams are your greatest indicator of where you're going in life. They have the most information of what you're trying to do, things to look out for, things to search for, things that are upcoming, things about your past that are causing you trauma, that are preventing you from developing and releasing those energetic blockages within your body and within your soul. The dream state is the most important thing that you can value. Like it is pinnacle, right? Dream state is more important than your actual life, in my opinion. So really, really valuing your dreams and your rest cycle and everything is super important, but get up, go meditate and reflect on your dreams, right? If you set an intention, look back and figure out what signs you got from the dream state, what symbolism came to you that could help you with the challenge that you're trying to face or the things that you're trying to achieve or your goals. Then focus on your day. Let's figure out what the day's got. What's the day got ahead? What do I have to do for work? What things do I have to get sorted? Is there anything I've forgotten? Is there anything I have to stay on top of? Let's just like wire ourselves up, get ready for the day, get ready to absolutely kill it. Get yourself in the mood. Breathe the fresh air. Focus on, getting your body happening. Start doing some like small stretches and some things to get the blood flowing in your body. This is what you want to do. You want to set yourself up to succeed. And the third thing, well, it could be the fourth thing. They can be the third and the fourth, but this is where we develop a powerful foundation for our aura for the day. So going back to what I was saying, we all have our vibrational frequency, right? Everything is vibration. This is a fact. But you want to think of your vibrational frequency as being the melody that your soul plays, right? So the more joyful and the more creative and the more loving you are, the more harmonic and beautiful your frequency will be. The more fearful, scared, angry, all depressed, anxious, all this kind of stuff, your frequency is going to be worse. It's going to be a lot more static and it's going to be a lot more unpleasant to be around. This is why you don't enjoy being around people who are just super anxious all the time. It's very difficult because their frequency is off. And when two people are together and you have a healthy frequency and they have a static frequency, you're going to affect one another. It's just the natural way that things happen. Now, you can do two things here. You can either allow the frequency of other people to affect you in a negative way, or you can develop such a powerful foundation for your day and establish your harmonic frequency earlier in the day and be conscious about it throughout the entire day and project that healthy energy to affect the other people around you rather than them affect yourself because you haven't necessarily built it up in the morning. So there's really easy ways to do this. Think about the things you've achieved recently. Think about the challenges and the struggles that you managed to get yourself through. Think about how your friends make you feel, like your good friends that make you feel good, make you feel. If your friends don't make you feel good, then we're going back a couple of steps. We're going to start analyzing why our friends don't make us feel good and what we can do about that. Think about your favorite song. Think about how your favorite song makes you feel. Think about how the art that you've created makes you feel. Think about how your pets make you feel. Think about just all of your favorite things and how that makes you feel when you feel most centered and most at yourself and most grounded. That's the frequency that you want to have, and that's the frequency that you want to establish and project toward other people, because you want to help the people around you. You want to affect everyone around you in a positive way. Now, if you do this, I can guarantee your day is going to be significantly better. Like, it's going to be significantly better if you spend 10 minutes in the morning doing this, because all of a sudden you bring your power back to yourself. You establish a healthy frequency to go out into the world with, and all these people who are still asleep and not aware of the way that they affect the people around them and the way they affect themselves, it's not going to affect you, because you're going to be so strong and you're going to be developing that muscle of just energy manipulation and the way that you can project your own energy and affect the people around you. So this is something that a lot of people kind of struggled with, and a lot of people that I spoke to were consistently just struggling to deal with people, especially within the spiritual and psychic community, because spiritualists and psychics are outliers in society. It's a very taboo thing in a lot of ways. A lot of people aren't on board with it. It can make people affect you in it can make people treat you in a very different way. You can be very skeptical or cynical about what you do, and a lot of people actually remain in the closet when it comes to like this spiritual kind of stuff, because they're afraid of kind of the backlash that can happen to them. But the way I want to kind of explain this, and I've drawn a diagram. It's horrendous, but I'll try to explain it for those who are watching. But here's this little diagram that I've made, right? So this is you, right? This is you, and sorry if this is really loud, but as you can see, these arrows pointing in is the laws of attraction. That is energy being drawn in toward you. And this is your kind of frequency that you operate on, because you're not always happy and you're not always sad. You're kind of, it's a flow. It's an ebb and a flow, right? So this is you here, and you're attracting energy in. Now, this might be someone who is negative in your life down below. For those who are just listening, I've drawn 2 circles and some arrows pointing to them. But this lower person here is a less aware person. Let's say this is someone who's a little bit more narcissistic, someone who hasn't really taken care of themselves, and they are drawing in negative energy. But you may get along with them, because who knows, like, everyone starts off with a blank slate and we all have to learn, and they may be a friend that you've had for a long time, they may be a colleague, they may be someone who you get along with, but for some reason they just won't sort their shit out and they treat the people around them in a negative way. So the more that you hang out with them, the more issues you're going to have, especially if they're affecting you in a negative way, because you're attracting one another to one another. Now, one of the mistakes that I see so many people make is they stop being friends with someone, or this even happens in like relationships and stuff like that, but they just do this slow kind of ghost thing. And it's the worst thing you can do, because if you're still connected to someone, that energy is still drawing you back to them in some way or another. The best thing you can possibly do if you're cutting ties with someone is to completely sever that emotional tie with them. I know it sounds hard. I know it's difficult. A lot of us are scared of what this person might say about us, or behind our backs, or they might trash talk. But the matter of the fact is that anyone who is willing to listen to someone talking terribly about you and give them the time of day, those people aren't your friends, and you need to not worry about them, because the reason that they're talking shit about you or bitching about you is because granted that you're doing the work and that you're trying to develop into a better person, but chances are, I'm going to assume that you are, is that they're talking I won't say terribly, but they're talking negatively about you because you highlight things within themselves that they are self-conscious about. They are lacking that confidence. They are lacking that desire to better yourself. They are lacking the humility that you're willing to show in order to develop into a more advanced human. So anyone willing to talk shit about you behind your back, they're not your friends and you don't need to worry. Now, the reason a lot of people fear about this is because everyone fears loneliness. Like everyone is to some degree, they're afraid of abandonment or anything like this. As someone who has been working on themselves for 6 years now, like actively working on themselves, day by day, meditating, journaling, exercising, creating, working toward my career, all this kind of stuff, I can guarantee you that you are going to find the most incredible people. You're going to come across the most incredible people in your life if you sever ties with these people. And when I'm talking about these people, I'm talking about people who just aren't willing to learn, or perhaps they're just not ready to yet, but they're holding you back. If someone is holding you back, say if you get a message from them, if you see a notification from them, if they like one of your photos or they watch your story or they do something and it makes you feel like, oh, why are they following me? Like you feel like there's an agenda there, there's an energy there, you can feel it. Cut them off, like get rid of them, because they might talk terribly about you for a bit, but I can guarantee you that their lack of attention span due to their lack of development, they're just going to shoot to someone else soon enough. They're always going to be arguing, they're always going to be having problems. It's not a you thing, it's a them thing. So cut them off, move forward. Don't give an excuse, don't give an apology, just move on. And I can guarantee if you really care about this person, there's not really much you can do, but I have had many cases where I've had to sever ties with people, and somewhere along the road, they've done the work and we've reconnected years later because we've both realized that we were both people who needed to grow at the time. We just had to grow in different directions to find each other once again. So don't worry, because you will find more incredible people. So going back to my incredible diagram here. So this is the person you don't want to be around down the bottom, this circle down here. And this is their energy connecting to you. And even if you try to move up and become better, but they've still got links to them, they're still going to drag you down. They're still going to drag you down. But this up here, this is the kind of person you want to be with. These are the people who are on that upper frequency. And now you may question if you get to here, well, aren't you the less positive person in the situation? And you might be, who knows? But the way that this works is that when two high vibrational people who are working positively are around one another, so my hand's cramped up, there is a feedback loop that happens. Just like talking negatively and being around those negative people, and it just being negative spurs more negativity, being positive spurs more positivity. And the more you're around these people, because positive people are, I can tell you right now, as someone who has developed to this stage, I don't care where you're at. Like the thing that people value in anyone that they come across, it's not what you have or who you are or where you're from or the things that you own or what you do for work. They care about people who are looking to develop themselves, because you can see, we have this innate ability to see the absolute potential in everyone. And it might be a narcissistic thing. Yeah, I want to be friends with the person before they become famous. So I was one of the OGs, you know what I mean? I'm just kidding. But again, good people love good people. And there is one, maybe more than one, but there is a main characteristic that we always look for. And it's just that humility and that integrity and that desire to grow and to listen and to just become the best version of ourselves, to develop a backbone to say no to people who you don't agree with when you know that they're not doing the right thing. It's that bravery and that courage. So I wanted to find the good word. That courage to walk that path on your own, because that is the thing. Like you don't become the man or the woman that you need to be by being surrounded by people all the time. You don't become that person by jumping from relationship to relationship or friend group to friend group. You develop that from being alone, right? You develop that from becoming a nomad and learning what it is to fight for your own and to survive on your own and to go through those battles on your own without support. That is how you become the people that you want to become. I had a really good thing. And one of the best shortcuts to doing this is one of the best pieces of advice that I can give to anyone that I use all the time. It's, say you're not sure where to go or what to become or what steps to take next. What you do, right? I highly suggest just going into solitude, disappearing. Don't tell anyone. You don't owe anyone anything. Just vanish, right? And I want you to grab a book or a notepad or something and think about who you would love like your best friend to be, right? Think about it. If I could have like a friend who was just like the sickest cunt to ever live, right? What would they be like? For me, it would be someone who plays music, is super creative, someone who exercises, does martial arts, rides motorbikes, goes camping, is a bit of a pyromaniac, likes tattoos, likes heavy metal, just loves spirituality and developing psychic intuition and all these kinds of things. And you find, and again, this isn't what you need to do, but this is what I would see in a friend, just someone who you could really rely on, that always has good advice, who's always there just to amp you up and make you feel better about yourself. Figure out what that person is to you, what you would like to have in your life, and simply become that person, right? Write it out, write out exactly what they are, and you go, okay, cool. So what are they like? They're creative and they play in a band. All right, cool. That's what I want to do. I'm going to start learning an instrument or get better at my instrument. I'm going to start putting more time into starting a band, finding people, and I'm going to do that. All right, they're always encouraging me. What can I do to do that instead? I'm going to start learning how to look people in the eye more. I'm going to start learning how to establish my aura at the start of the day so I affect the people around me in a healthier manner, right? I'm going to do things to actively become the version of myself that I'd like to have in my life. And then the fucking bonus of all this is that you get to be that person for everyone else, right? You get to be that friend to the people around you. You get to be the person who's always enthusiastic, always encouraging, always has goes out of their way to figure out how to give the best advice to things, has the best taste in music and art and anything that you're into, right? You just get to become this amazing person because you've already developed a template of how to become that person. So again, that was another thing that people came across. I meet all these incredible people because the difficult thing with psychic work is, how do you become a professional psychic? It's a difficult thing. It's one thing to sit with your friends and see if you can pick up on something. It's a different thing to charge people money for it, because you have to be very confident in your ability to deliver that service of connecting with a spirit or helping them, right? So I'm always talking to people and it's, what do you do for work? And you get people doing all kinds of things, but guarantee that 9 times out of 10, you talk to someone and you go, oh, do you enjoy it? And they're like, yeah, it's all right. It's like, all right. You're spending 8 to 10 hours a day just doing something that you find all right. That's not okay. You got to be enjoying yourself. Push yourself to develop and achieve the things that you want. That's why I got into tree work when I did, because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I wanted to be, and still do, want to be, a successful musician, doing spiritual work and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, cool, what's the sickest job aside from being a rock star or riding motocross or something like that? And I was like, damn, climbing trees and playing with chainsaws is pretty fucking up there. I'm going to do that. And so for the last 6 years, that's what I've done. And I've also been fortunate enough to get to the point where I work for myself. I contract out to companies and I climb for them. I have an awesome time all the time, every day, because I, ahead of time, decided to do something really, really rewarding with my life. And it's amazing as well, because you will like put this into your plan, right? And you don't have to start now, but I suggest doing it because, sometimes you say to someone, oh, it will take you like 3 to 4 years to achieve this. And most people are like, man, that is way too long. But if you think about it in the scheme of living till 90 years old, 3 or 4 years really isn't much in the scheme of things. Like it's a pretty small amount of time. And it doesn't even mean that you're not going to enjoy yourself or succeed while doing this kind of stuff. It just means a big shift where you're working toward what you want, and you're going to come across the kind of people you want to be around. You don't want to be around people who every day they're like, yeah, it's all right. Like you want to be around people who are like, dude, I love this, And so that was one of the things, like chase what you want to do. So many people are just like, they just give up. And, I was talking to one of my friends and I asked her, like, she's a graphic designer and she was at this retreat as well. And, I asked her what she wanted to do. And she's like, oh, I'd love to do like art and graphic design to do with spirituality. I'm like, dude, do it. And we started talking about artwork and she was like, man, I'd love to be an artist. And it's like, well, why aren't you? Why don't you? Right? Because being an entrepreneur doing a creative endeavor is obviously difficult, but it's difficult because you have to be so good to do it. But that's what the reward is, because you get to do something that so few in the world get to do, and you get to love it, and you get to be around those kinds of people, but you have to work toward it. And yeah, there's just too many people who they just accept what they've been told. They've just been told to just work a job, take out a mortgage that you have to pay off for 20 years, get married, have kids, get divorced, pay child support, and then retire at 55 and live off a fucking pension. Like, fuck that, man. Like, whose fucking idea was this? Well, get health insurance as well. No way. Start working toward enjoying your entire life. It's worth it. Like, because you're either going to struggle doing this, struggle putting in the effort, struggle making podcast episodes as soon as you get home from work before having to feed the dogs and walk the dogs and do all your other shit, because you want to make an impact, you want to get a following, you want to make some kind of positive change in the world and feel fulfilled. Like this has been going for 38 minutes now. I could just been sitting on my phone this whole time. I could have been watching TV this whole time, but I'm not. I'm trying to do something that's going to develop into something that I might be able to actually somehow monetize and make a living off eventually, right? And it gives me so much more fulfillment because it's a soul-nourishing activity connecting with people in a positive way than it is just doom scrolling and rotting my brain doing all the shit that I've been prescribed from society. It's not worth it. You're either going to feel depressed because you're not doing soul-nourishing activities, or you're going to be stressed but fulfilled by chasing them. And being someone who used to be anorexic and just playing League of Legends till 2 a.m. every night, eating junk food, being abusive toward my friends and all that kind of shit, like I can guarantee you that this side of the fence is so much better. I don't give a fuck that I'm stressed. I'm having a fucking blast. I'm having the best time ever. And I know that I'm affecting the people around me in a positive way, which is inspiring. And that's what you want. So again, I ask people, like, I remember this dude that I used to be friends with, right? He used to smoke a shitload of weed. And, it was disgusting, man. Like, one of those proper stoners, like, his room was, like, at the back of the house. And, like, I would walk in through the gate, and there's a good 10 meters to the door. And if the door was actually open, like it was just the fly screen, I could smell whether the door to his room was open or not. It was that rank. And it was just so troubling for me to be around because he was such a cool dude, like so talented, extremely talented songwriter, had an incredible voice, could write these incredible songs, and I just wanted to help him get and succeed because I could see how far he could take this. I play in a progressive metal band. I write songs that go for fucking 20 minutes with parts that have like 7 guitars at once. What I would give to be able to just write simple songs on an acoustic guitar and just do that, right? Not have to split money with 4 other people, not have to like come up with these crazy things and organize things and do band practice and find new, like just to be able to play my own guitar and play gigs and just be in charge of my own shit. Oh my God, it would be the best thing ever. I arguably could, but I'd have to take energy and focus from things that really matter to me to do something that I'm just envious about, really. But again, loved this person with all my heart, tried my best, but I remember once I just kind of said to him, I was like, why do you smoke so much? You know, like, what's the point? Why are you smoking bong, spending all your money? And his response was, that's just to kill the time. Kill the time from what? Time is the most valuable asset that we have. It is the only thing that eventually runs out in your life. Money is infinite, right? Food is infinite. The fucking internet and video games and all this shit is infinite, but your time is not. It is your most valuable asset and you need to use it wisely. You know, I always tell people that I'm fucking excited for death, man. Like, I have this weird fascination with suicide and death because I've kind of been there before, but it's not in a negative way. I don't mean it in a negative way whatsoever. It's that death to me, not to me, it's the truth, is the ultimate expansion of consciousness. Like, that is to get to the end of a human life of, I plan to live till I'm 120. It's gonna be epic, man, like when I pass away. But you know, to get to the end of your life and go through that expansion of consciousness, like that full expansion of consciousness, the dissolvement of the ego, and to enter back to the dream state, the multidimensional reality, to the higher self, to the entity, to be in that multi-dimensional reality where you can focus your consciousness at will wherever you want, which we already can, but we have an amnesia effect, so we make mistakes, and that leads to more opportunity and more creativity. But aside from that, going back to that and being fully immersed in it and being able to project consciousness and focus on other incarnations, man, like that is one of the most exciting things to me. And the way I look at it is that I want to earn that, right? Like, I want to earn my death. That is what I'm here to do. I am here to have the most fulfilling experience, to make the biggest impact, to share the most love, the most creativity, create the greatest things that I can, and just bring so much of that soul nourishing activity into my realm and into the realm of the people around me, that when it gets to that day that I do choose to pass away, which I will be in perfect health when that happens, because we choose when we pass away. Like, sickness is nothing but a belief system. If you like, your cells regenerate themselves every 7 years and they can be perfectly healthy, right? That doesn't stop when you're older. None of this stops when you're older. You've just been told to believe that it does, and so you believe that you get sick, and then you get sick for whatever reason, probably because you're hanging around shit people and not living up to your soul's desires, and you're not happy, and the depression kicks in, and that makes your body respond in a negative way, and it makes the frequency go weird, and it forces you to go inward to figure out what the problem is. But you never do figure out what the problem is, because you just take medication and go back to the same old nonsense that you do, right? You can be perfectly healthy until the day you pass. I remember once when I was 15 years old, I was at the gym. Used to go to the gym because they had like a spa and a pool and stuff, but I was in the pool and there was this old Chinese dude doing mad laps every time I was there. Like, I'm talking like 50 to 60 laps, breaststroke, freestyle, all this stuff. And he was like at least 70 years old, man. And I remember I was in the spa once and he hopped in and just decided to talk shit. And I was like, man, like, you're looking pretty good for your age. Like, I'm very impressed as a 15-year-old that you are as old as you are doing what you are. And he goes, oh, thanks. He goes, how old do you think I am? And I said, ooh, I don't know, like 70-ish? And he goes, I'm 98. 98 years old, right? Doing like laps of a fucking pool over and over and over, like 50, 60, like a long time, like 45, 50 minutes, constant at 98 years old. Like, I know people who are like obese and dying at like 50 because they don't take care of themselves. But it was his belief system. It was his spirituality. It was his understanding of the importance of his body and how to take care of himself, that he was completely limber and completely healthy, nearly cracking 3 figures of age, right? This whole thing about sickness and illness and all this shit, it's complete nonsense. It's not the truth. You can believe in science, but even science has its limitations. Science is our way of making sense of and measuring this reality, right? But it's flawed because like we can't see what's past the atom, right? And the reason we can't see what's past the atom is because what we're using, our instruments are made of atoms. They can't see past their own reflection, right? But what's beyond the atom is consciousness. And consciousness creates consciousness. Consciousness creates matter. Consciousness exists in the dream state, and we focus that consciousness into our reality in order to incarnate and experience the human condition. Everything is consciousness. It exists before all things. And if you learn how to develop your intuition, develop that muscle, develop your psychic abilities and your consciousness, you'll be able to project it in ways that you wouldn't even think to have thought of before doing so. You are in perfect control of all of your health. Like, we are designed to be healthy. We are designed to enjoy life. We are designed to have a good time. You can do it. I'm doing it. I've been doing it for years. I'm not just like, I didn't just have a wank and come back and I'm like, yeah, life's good, man. Like, I've been doing this for 6 fucking years. And I'm telling you, I have foolproof methods. If you trust the process, you listen to yourself, you take care of your circadian rhythm, you take care of your brain, you sleep properly, you exercise, you eat well, you nourish yourself, you read inspirational books, inspirational content, try and inspire others, be creative, push yourself to develop into the person that you wish existed. Bring that person out, manifest it, do what you want. You can do anything you want. We're here to have fun. So I'm going to leave it on that. Again, if you've got difficult people in your life, just cut them out. Don't give them a reason. Don't give them anything, right? Just cut them off, because the more emotional ties you have to that person, the more you're worrying about what they're thinking and what they're saying and fucking you're still focusing your energy there. And the first rule of manifestation is you get what you focus upon. If you're focusing upon their energy, it's going to exist. The moment you cut them out, remove them, like this is the fucking headache of social media, is it? We're all connected. Cut them off social media, delete them off your phone, just completely get rid of them and start focusing on yourself. Start working on becoming that person that you always want to become. And the more you develop, you will attract better people. You will attract better circumstances. You will attract better events into your life. And you'll be questioning why you ever held yourself back from doing so earlier. Again, go on the hero's journey. Go and do it. Disappear, right? Disappear. Hit the gym. Get off social media. Right? Get rid of the people in your lives that are not taking themselves seriously, and seek people who support you and see you for who you are and see you for what you are, right? If you find yourself convincing people or trying to convince people to respect you or to respect the things that you do, or you're trying to explain to them, oh, I do this because of this, and they're just like looking at you like, oh yeah, Don't do it. Find people who ask you the questions that you wish to be asked, right? That's a very important one. The things that you're always trying to tell people, like, oh man, like I've been working really hard on this music. And I've been doing this. Do you want to hear it? They're not the right people. Find the people who go, fuck man, you're a musician. Can you send me your stuff? I want to hear it. Like, find the people who seek out what you do and enjoy you and want to be around your presence and get stimulated by it. Number one rule, after hanging out with someone, if you feel bad or negative after leaving them, don't see them again. If you feel good and empowered, they're the people you need to be around. Anyway, not sure what episode this was of the Redefining Spirituality podcast. I might quickly just cheat here just to check what it is. Oh my God. I'm failing at this. Anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. My name is Brendan Van Witchen. I'm wearing Rage Nation clothes. They're the best. I'm gonna flex them real quick. Check out this shit, man. Aaron Brown is a god. You should totally check out their clothes. At this point, I have spent over $3,000 on their clothes, and I plan to spend much, 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 much more because it's my favorite clothing brand. They plant a mangrove tree for every order placed as well, I'm fairly sure. I don't know. I just love them. I don't get anything out of this. They're my favorite brand of all time. They are so sick. I'll probably get a Rage Nation tattoo at some point. It'll be amazing. Anyway, quick plug. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. This has been the Redefining Spirituality Podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Mark Van Witchen. And keep chasing the greatest version of yourself. You can do it, I promise. All right? Peace. Don't know how to end these. Cheers.